We're here at Three Rivers Museum in Muskogee and in the Katy District. And so for the month of October, we're going to be talking about haunted places in the general area, the Muskogee County area. And there's no one else better that knows the history of this area than Mr. Roger Bell. And Roger, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today.
Sure.
Roger has they have a haunted tour that they do around Muskogee. And so we've been visiting a little bit about just the different places in Muskogee and the areas that are have some paranormal activity and have some history of some events. So Roger, if you'll just kind of start out, just let's kind of do a brief synopsis of the tour that you're going to be giving, and kind of maybe some places that you hit for the tour. Sure. And then we'll come back and we'll maybe individualize like some like the Thomas-Foreman Home and some areas like that.
Sure. We've been giving the tour here for many years. It just kind of came up on us one time and on a tour I was taking out of the area, and I wondered if we could do it here. And it just really took off. People were always interested in it. I think ghost stories are one of those things that people, no matter what age or what generation, have always been fascinated and interested in. So as I started doing research and going back in time and seeing the legends and talking to different people over the years, I found there was many stories here, as much as anywhere. I keep a log of all my stories and all my locations and different things and legends and different things, and that it grows every year. I want to say, we're probably up to 60 to 70 different stories and different things that we have, and we're always learning new ones. But some of them are well known to people, some of them are lost a lot into time that we bring back up. But people enjoy our tours. They've evolved. They went from a caravan tour where we just drove people around. We used the trolleys for many years, and this year we weren't able to use the trolleys, but I think it'll be really fun this year because our groups are going to do walking tours. So we're going to have a lot more one-on-one with the people as we talk. And we're also doing a really unique thing. I don't know too many people doing this anywhere in the country. We're actually doing a bicycle tour. And yes, we can bike at night with helmets and lights and stuff. And we did it 2 years ago with the cycling club here, and they had a great time. But it allows us to get a little bit further away than walking, and it's a lot of fun, and it's pretty unique. So it'll be fun. We'll be going to some places we won't be going to. But it will focus us more on some of the core stories in our very historic downtown area. It doesn't allow us to go to Fort Gibson this year or go outside the area as much, but maybe we'll get to do that another time. There's a lot of different stories that people focus on here in different locations. The Seavers Hotel has some interesting stories. There are, you mentioned the Thomas-Foreman Home, which is a site we actually own and operate, and we've had interesting things happen there over the years. There's been other things like, theaters are typically always an area. No matter what town you go to, the theaters always have an interesting ghost story or two. The theory, I think, a little bit behind it is people went there in the past, so maybe ghosts return to things that they liked, or they went to in another life. There's not anything real ominous stories in the Roxy, but there are certainly a lot of occurrences of things that have happened there over the years. And it's always fun to go in some of these places. On our tours, some places we're able to go in one year, some we're not able to go in next year. So they constantly change and evolve. But we've been in a lot of locations. Whether or not you believe in all this stuff or not, I can tell you that we've had a few times in a few locations that we've had some pretty strange things happen to our groups. I think people on our tours and those would tell you the same thing. But it's fun, and you learn a lot of history, you learn a lot about your community, but the legends and stories are really what makes it fun.
Now, you talked earlier about the Thomas-Foreman Home, and you said not too long ago you were over there, and you had some unusual activity happen.
Yeah, the Foreman Home is it's a gem in our community that a lot of people don't go to, or they grow up and think they went there when they were a kid once. But the thing that's so unique about it, and I think, is the fact that everything in the home is really original to it. So it's the original stuff all the way back to the 1880s, 1870s when Judge Thomas has. So there's a lot of things in there. So you just feel the history when you walk in that building. And we've had different occurrences. We've had some investigating groups in there before. We've had different people tell us things over the year, but we were in there a few weeks ago going over it. We were showing somebody around, and we walked in one room, and I was talking about some of the history in that room and some of the things, and I wanted to see something else in another room, and I was leading the group out, and we went into another hallway there, and all of a sudden we heard this loud crash. And it was a picture that had just come off the wall, and it was strange to me because the hanger that it was on didn't fall, or it was just, the picture was off the hanger and was not really that close to where it fell from. So it's like it had almost been picked up and tossed or something. There was no, the picture was not broken, which was a surprise to me. But because of the loud crash, we all heard it there, three of us, and not really explained, we had been talking about things in that room. That room has got a lot of history. It was originally the parlor of it, and it had the Foremans were married in it, but Judge Thomas, who was killed in the first prison riot at McAllister in 1914, a tragic event was laid in state there, and when they brought him back here, and that was the home he built. So maybe he didn't like what we were saying there. I don't know, but it was really strange to us. It was a lot of we couldn't explain it, So, but we've had other things, and we'll tell more about other things as the ones that go on our tour, and I highly encourage you to go to the Foreman Home because it is such a fascinating place in our town.
Now let's the Severs building, which is now the BOK
Right.
building, and what's I've heard rumors about the basement where they I guess some activity down in the basement or whatever.
Yeah, the basement, and I used to work there. You feel it when you're down there. I mean, you just don't want to stay down there very long. I didn't when I was there. I don't know exactly why, but it just doesn't feel right. The Captain Severs who built the hotel had a strong passion when he built it. It was completed in 1911. He mortgaged vast land holdings and pretty much a lot of his financial strength to build it as a gift to Muskogee. He wanted to leave a legacy here. He died a few months before it was actually on his home site where he built it. He moved his house, which still stands here, to build the hotel at the location it is. And when it was basically moved and they built this beautiful hotel, he was there every day supervising, and he had so much passion for this hotel. But sadly, he died just a few months before it actually opened. He never got to see it open as a hotel. So there's a lot of stories over the years, working there and stuff, that maybe he's still there, watching over his building. And so there's been things about that. The other story that comes a lot in there is one of the most notorious murders in the Southwest occurred in the hotel in 1930 on a floor, and these people came from Connecticut to look at some failed business dealings. Remember 1930 during the Depression? And they came here and they checked into the hotel and went upstairs, and they were murdered in cold blood there. And nobody would talk about the Seavers Hotel murders here. There was a lot of questions on it. It was highly investigated, and there is, as now, it's unsolved. And I think in 10 to 15 years later, after it happened, there were stories in national publications calling it one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the United States history. But there's two men that were killed. There was another one that was tied up and bound in another room, and nobody would talk about it. There's a lot of potential as gangster activity, but there's a really interesting story, and that floor is a strange floor. So that's one of the stories. There are other ones in the Seavers, just like there are a lot of places, but that's one of them.
Now, I've heard stories of the house across from the old ice house, and I've read, we've had a lot of comments on Facebook about check that out. What's so significant about that?
The house is probably, if not the oldest home still standing in Muskogee. It was built before the Great Fire in 1899. The Thomas-Foreman Home also is very old, but it was built very old. There really is not a significant event there that's happened that really, there's not really any dire murder or any strange things like that, but the history over the years has always pointed to strange things happening there, and we've given several tours. On one of the early first trolley tour I ever gave there, I was telling stories about it and didn't know the owner of the home was on my trolley, and she got up and she said that she wanted to hear what we were telling about our home, and she said, really, you were telling a lot of the truths. Things that we've come, but I've got a lot more to tell you. And she got up and spoke, and then she wrote me out a deal about all the things that are going on since she owned the home there. We have got to tour it a few times. We won't be able to this year, but it's got some very interesting legends to it. Everything from a piano playing at night to different things that go on in their home. So I don't want to go if I go into all that right now, but it's certainly one that has got a lot of stories to it.
A lot of interesting history.
Mm-hmm.
Muskogee is one of the oldest towns in the state, or one of the oldest cities in the state. And with that, obviously, and Mr. Bell can back this up, you're going to have a lot of interesting history and a lot of interesting characters and a lot of interesting theories and rumors and facts. And but that's what makes this so neat. This is right here in our home area, and it's not only about chasing ghosts, it's not only about paranormal activity, but it's also about learning the history of the area. And there's so many great figures that have not only come from this area, but have come through this area. And so it makes it even more interesting to learn the history. And I would challenge everyone to come by the Three Rivers Museum, because it's a very interesting place, and you can learn a lot about this area, what you didn't know. And certainly, everything from underground tunnels here in Muskogee to some of the famous people that have stayed here and even stayed in the Seavers Hotel and have passed through and have given speeches and have done various things in Muskogee. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to venture around Muskogee County, and we're going to see what all we can see. And I certainly appreciate Roger taking the time to sit down with us and talk. And I guess the final thing I have to ask is, where are some of the little tidbits maybe we need to go check out around town or around the county before we do this segment?
Well, a lot of people grew up in Muskogee always talking about Crybaby Bridge. It's a very common haunted element. If you'll find one in a lot of counties all over, it's just one of those legendary things. When you were a kid, you want, I guess, you wanted to check out, and it's fun. We've taken tours there before, and we've had some people come back to us with some strange video or different or audio or different things. Whether you believe it or not, I don't know, but that one we might want to maybe go down there and check that one out and see what you find down there, along with the legend there. There's Fort Gibson. We've given a lot of tours there in the past. We talk about the oldest town. That is pretty much the oldest town, and there's buildings over there that date back to there's one that dates back to the 1820s, for example. That's pretty old. So there's a lot of things over there that you might want to check out. And it sounds like you've already got some of the legends. We certainly could point you out to a few other ones.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, Roger, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us, and I'm sure at some point we'll come back with some more questions, and certainly we're going to work on another segment coming up. It's going to be on the road, and it's going to be to different communities, and Roger more likely will be one of our first stops on that one also, to talk to us about all the history in the area. So Roger, thank you very much for your time, and we appreciate it.